Welcome back, YouTube, for a mecca of a race. This is the Monaco Grand Prix with SF1 Classic League, and we are in none other than Ayrton Senna's 91 McLaren. And oh man, if this isn't about survival, I don't know what is. This is going to be one heck of a race. I didn't really have any time to practice for this race.
All personnel be aware, car leaving.
So, with that being said, let's go try to survive Monaco in the 91 McLaren. If you guys want a challenge, I implore you to jump in this car with no assists and go around this track in a 50% league race. I mean, it's exhilarating yet frustrating. It's really kind of a do or die situation. So we are going to push on. A lot of these guys, I'm going to say, were absolutely on fire today. It's super quick. I was no way I was going to keep up with these guys. I felt this car, I could not get this car to turn, and the downshifts on this car were just really slow and not accurate on my part. Could have been the way I was driving. I do know that the classic cars, sometimes the clutch sticks a lot longer, so you have to really gauge the time you gear down, and you have to, be ready for that. And here we are gearing up for our first lap of this qualifying session. Short qualifying as usual, going up the hill. We are running a bit green. I did set a time actually of 134.6, which is absolutely slow. Let's not lie. Let's not kid ourselves. So I'm going to try to push and get faster as I go through, as I lock up and smack the wall. That was another part I had problem with this car, was the braking. It felt like the brakes were alive, one corner, two corners, but then ultimately they just gave up. Ulster stick almost smacks into the side of us. I was hoping I wouldn't cause anybody to, ruin their qualifying with me sitting there, but I felt like sitting there was the best I could do, as those guys were approaching quick, and I did not want to, encroach on their qualifying, and ultimately might get us and them a grid penalty. I don't know why people that are on a flyer and somebody comes off, or they rejoin the track unsafely and that person hits them, they get a penalty for it. I don't see why that happens, but that's just a great thing that's given to us by Codemasters. Guys, come on, not fair. And here we are currently setting green sectors in 1 and 2. Let's see if we can improve on our time and get ourselves higher than P10 currently. It's where we're running in qualifying. Coming up, gonna cross the line. I did not improve on the next lap I did, although I did try to push for one, and that, because you can see I lock up and hit the wall again. That curse of me saying that these brakes were alive and then they were dead. They completely had no feeling. Here I'm waiting for a couple of the other guys to go through. Then ultimately that was our qualifying over.
Mind that front wing. It'll need replacing if it takes too much damage.
Another thing about the classic cars, especially this one, you can't really see the damage on the front wing unless you look at your MFD. But here we are. We do qualify P10, so that's not too bad. We are at the back of the pack. Sometimes that is a very helpful thing in league racing in Monaco, but nevertheless, we're going to keep our head down, push on, and see if we can get any points. We are outside of the points currently. Currently in P10, still have to get to P8 to get a point. So we're going to push and see if we can get anything out of this race. If we could just survive this race. I was actually hoping that I could have some of these guys, wreck out, maybe? That's terrible of me to say.
Okay, go through all the gears if you can. We need to make sure the engagement is okay before the start. We're going to want to put some temperature into the tyres and brakes. We need to keep the engine cool though, so don't go too high with the revs.
Jeff being very, very informative, as always. He was helping me out on my formation lap, and nevertheless, we're going to pull up to the grid and start this race, the Monaco Grand Prix. Not just the Monaco Grand Prix, but the 1991 Monaco Grand Prix.
The grid is forming up. Be patient and watch for the lights.
So we're going to watch for these lights, and it's going to be go, go, go time in just a second. Just waiting for the rest of the guys to form up the grid. Here we are, a nice little camera view of the front runners. I'm sure you guys are tired of seeing me in the back. 5 red lights are lit, and we are away for the Monaco Grand Prix. Can we get a good start? I actually do kind of hold myself back, and I let Nug Life go through. I let Swizz go through, as these guys are pretty much on my same pace.
The team want you to shift up through the gears earlier. They think it'll save fuel.
Swizz loses a little bit of control and lets us through, so that is a position gain. We are back to where we started this race, P10. So we haven't gained anything. We kind of lost a little bit at the first corner, but we're going to push and see if we can catch up to Nug Life. I do feel like I can keep with Nug Life as I race with him quite often. There's a couple other guys in here that were racing with us last week, so they're actually pretty quick. But we have a job to do. We have to keep our head down. We can't leave a window open for making mistakes. Swizz is right behind us, and it's going to be a task to keep him right behind us. He is a good racer, and he's going to look for a spot. He's definitely a clean racer too, because he left me a lot of room as I outbrake myself, ultimately go through the chicane and get myself a 5 grid play, or stop go, that is, a 5 second stop go. And talking about not making a mistake, I just left myself open a mistake. This is going back to what I was saying about these brakes not being alive some corners and being alive other corners. That was definitely one of them where I actually pressed on the brakes and the car just, it did nothing. It just went sailing through. So instead of trying to make a turn and putting myself or somebody else out, I just collected the penalty, went right through. But here we are, lap 2, still following Nug Life up the hill. Can I get into this gearbox and try to make for a look onto P9? We do actually get around. I think somebody made mistakes. We're still following Nug Life. This is lap 9 now. And this is where it gets a little interesting. We're going to go through the tunnel. I'm still trying to keep up with him. And this is where I'm talking about leaving windows open for mistake. And he ultimately slams into the barrier and puts himself out. There's his tire. I didn't want to hit his tire. But we get ourselves up into the points in P8. So unfortunate for Nug Life. But we are through into P8. Now it's just kind of the survival mode kicks in. You have to press on. You can actually do a one-stop on this track in this car, but it's going to be not terribly hard, but your tires are going to be shot by the end of it. So keeping on with that in mind, and we have William Lachelle actually retired from the race. One of the front runners, unfortunate enough, has caused himself to make a mistake.
The car ahead is 42.2 seconds.
So that is going to be a position gain once we get around. He was actually almost half a lap ahead of us, so we have quite a ways to go before we collect that spot. But that will ultimately put us into P7, right behind RL Addict. But Addict was so far ahead of me. He was actually, I think, 50 seconds.
Safety car, no overtaking, reduce your pace. Keep your delta number positive as we form up.
Guys, we have a safety car at the Monaco Grand Prix, so I'm actually going to pull it into the pits and grab myself a new set of tires, because I wasn't going to lose any more time as it was. I actually do come out sandwiched in between the leaders. I do not know why they didn't let me go through and let these guys, carry on. But here we are, serving the 5 second stop go that I got through running fast through the chicane and just blowing that corner. So we serve that 5 second stop go, clear of any penalties. We're going to come out with the top guys. I think we get sandwiched, like I said. Cookie has left the session.
Look after these tires now. We want to finish the race on this compound.
He was actually the one that crashed out, causing the safety car. I'm not sure what happened. As we get out in front of Addict, who Addict is actually ahead of us. So this is where I got a little confused. I was sandwiched in between Harrison. I was sandwiched in between Bretogo and Addict, who was right behind me. These guys are 1, 2, 3, and for some reason I'm stuck, so I actually move over to the left and let Addict and Stig go, and also let, I believe it was somebody else, I couldn't see who it was. I think it was Price Tag. Price Tag gets through.
If you continue to cut corners, the stewards will give you a penalty.
Yes, Jeff, I'm aware. Thank you so much for telling me. I'm trying to focus on this race, but Stig and Price go through, so we're clear of any of the front runners. We can let those guys run their own race. We're not going to cause them any problems. Here we are, lap 37 and 39. We are down 2 laps. We cross the line, and that is it for our Monaco Grand Prix. We survived, and we end up finishing P5, as a lot of the guys ahead of us had mistakes towards the end. So collect a good solid chunk of points. Harrison grabs a win at the Grand Prix, followed by Bretogo, who I think was leading on tracks, but ultimately fell back because of penalties. I'm not sure. I have to look at that, but I believe that RL Addict got his first podium here in the Classic League, so he gets a solid third. So these guys had a great race. Congratulations to these guys. We finished P5, not too bad from starting P10. That is, I believe, 4 points on the bag for us, but you guys can see here a lot of guys had some DNFs, and one of them, Price, unfortunately got a DSQ for, I think it was the amount of penalties he got on track. It's unfortunate, but solid race to all the guys who attended. Appreciate it. We had a good time. I had a not so ceremonious time. I was just trying to, survive the race, but appreciate you guys checking out this video. I always upload more just like this, some different content. If you guys are interested, hit that subscribe button. Until then, I'm going to leave you off with the race highlights.